This is a story of how Make Malawi was born. Back in 2005, early 2006, I was living in Belgium, and I had a very diverse group of girlfriends there. And so we wanted to try and do something to help the people of Malawi, where my husband is from and where I lived for nearly 10 years. And so we decided that based on the fact that women inherently are very giving and also very social, we would try to marry those two activities together and come up with something fun that people would like to do. So we decided to have a ladies' dinner with a difference. And the twist in this was, instead of going out to dinner and spending a lot of money in Belgium, where dinners were very expensive, we would all gather at my house. We would have a potluck dinner where everyone would share their favorite dish. And then instead of using the money to go out, we would put that money together and do a project in Malawi. Our first dinner in 2006 brought together about 15 ladies. We had a very diverse group of expatriates, people living overseas, who had different cultures, different food. It was a lovely evening, and we took the money that we raised that evening, which was about 1,200 euros, or the equivalent of about $2,000. And we decided that our first project in Malawi would be a community dairy. So we bought second-hand dairy equipment from Holland and sent it to Malawi, where the First Lady used it to implement a community milking project for women who already had their own cows, but by virtue of the fact that they were milking by hand, were losing a significant amount of milk production. In 2010, I had the opportunity to move back to the United States, a place that I haven't lived for the past 16 years, and we moved to Scarsdale, New York, which, as many of you will know, is a very affluent community. And I met a lot of great people here who are already doing amazing things to give back to their community. But I decided about 3 or 4 months after arriving here that it would be a good time to get together a group of ladies to have the first Scarsdale Ladies' Dinner with a Difference. Over the course of 3 dinners, we were able to build a health center, Ndongo Clinic, a maternity health center. It has 6 rooms. It'll have 2 labor rooms, a delivery room, a nurse's room, and then a supply room and a pharmacy. And this clinic was very much a collaborative effort between the community of Ndongo and the women in Scarsdale. I went to visit Ndongo at the request of the Member of Parliament, Eunice Napolo, who is a very young, well-educated and dynamic parliamentarian in Malawi. And we went simply to see her constituency, which is extremely rural. It's almost on the border of Mozambique. It's 3 hours off of any tar road, in a quite harrowing ride down an escarpment, straight down a hill. And when I got there, I asked the community, what would you like? What do you need? And the only thing they kept saying over and over was a hospital. They said too many of their women were dying giving birth on the road because they had to go more than 20 kilometers to get to the nearest facility to be able to deliver their babies. And at the time I said, I'm not going to be able to raise the money to fund a health center. It just seemed cost prohibitive to me. But the more the community talked, the more I started to listen. They took me down the road, they showed us a plot of land that was not cleared. It had trees and bushes, and they said, this is where the clinic can be. They would make the bricks by hand. They would burn the bricks. They would bring the sand. They would put all of these inputs in their own labor if we would just help them get the things that they couldn't buy themselves. They couldn't buy windows and door frames and cement and iron sheets for the roof and timbers to put the roof up. By the time I arrived back in America, I already had pictures from the community where they had started molding the bricks and they had cleared the land. And even though I had yet to commit that I would take this project on, at that point I thought, how can I not take it on if they're already so committed themselves? So this became our project of the Scarsdale Ladies Dinners with a Difference. And with little more than $11,000, I'm proud to say that we now have a completed maternity health center. Along with that, we've raised a little bit more money to put in a borehole so that they have clean water. And through Freshwater International, Amy Hart and her partner Heidi Rickles, we will also have 2 latrines, so the women will have a safe place for sanitation. And we're hoping that this will be a model community that we'll be able to then build in other areas. We'll have the health center, the water, the sanitation, and the next step is to plant trees to keep the water sustainable and to provide shade. But the community all along has been so giving and so wonderful in this project, and I've had the opportunity to go and visit, and they are always singing and dancing and so grateful for what the people of Scarsdale and my friends around the world who are still contributing to make Malawi have done for them, because it's going to change their lives. Their maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate is through the roof. It's one of the highest in the world. And they now will no longer have to climb 20 kilometers up a hill to take their women to the hospital when they don't have cars or ambulances or even bicycles.